Samantha had always considered her husband's family as her second home. She was close to her brother-in-law, Mark, who had been a confidant to both her and her husband, Tom. Mark and Samantha shared many intimate conversations over the years about life, dreams, and even their frustrations. However, things took a complicated turn one evening when Tom had to work late for a big project. Samantha, feeling lonely and a bit overwhelmed with daily life, invited Mark over for a casual chat, just as they had many times before. As the night went on, their conversation deepened. Both of them were dealing with personal struggles, Samantha with her marriage, feeling a little distant after Tom's recent work pressure, and Mark with his own emotions that he hadn't shared. The emotional tension in the room grew palpable, and as the evening progressed, a moment of weakness overtook them. They kissed. In that fleeting, passionate moment, the boundaries they had once respected disappeared, but the guilt was almost immediate. Samantha pushed Mark away, panicking, realizing the gravity of what just happened. She locked herself in the bathroom, heart racing. This was her husband's brother, someone she had trusted implicitly. Mark, however, felt torn, his emotions conflicted. The next few days were filled with awkward silence between them. Mark avoided her, but she could feel the weight of their shared secret hanging between them. Tom, oblivious to what had happened, noticed the change in Samantha's behavior. She became more distant, a subtle difference, but enough to make him question things. The emotional strain from the incident caused Samantha to retreat further, unable to look Tom in the eyes without feeling the weight of the guilt. It took months before the truth slowly came to light, in a way neither of them had ever expected. Tom accidentally stumbled upon an old text between Samantha and Mark, which led to the unraveling of everything. The shock, the betrayal, it shattered Tom in ways Samantha couldn't have predicted. Their marriage, once strong, now hung by a thread, complicated by a secret that neither could ever fully erase. The emotional toll on Samantha was immense. She wasn't just dealing with the consequences of cheating, but with the destruction of a family bond and the emotional confusion of her actions. It left her questioning her own heart. Did she love Tom? What had driven her to betray him with his brother? And perhaps most painfully, could their relationship survive the aftermath of this hidden affair? In relationships, the complexities of family ties can often be both a source of comfort and, paradoxically, a potential breeding ground for betrayal. When you marry, your partner's family becomes an integral part of your life, influencing not only the day-to-day moments, but the deeper, emotional connections that form the foundation of the relationship. This dynamic becomes particularly complicated when infidelity strikes within the family itself, creating a tangled web of relationships where love, loyalty, guilt, and betrayal intersect in ways that can be hard to navigate. In stories like the one where a woman's brother-in-law betrays her trust while her husband is away at work, the family dynamics undergo a profound transformation, as feelings of loyalty, trust, and even love are questioned. The complicated nature of such situations begins with the familial connection. Often, the brother-in-law is seen as someone who is more than just an extended family member. He becomes a confidant, a friend, or even a trusted companion with whom the spouse shares their hopes, dreams, and frustrations. In this context, the emotional boundaries between them can blur. While society often associates infidelity strictly with romantic relationships, the emotional undercurrent that drives these betrayals is not always as clear-cut. The infidelity that occurs within the family system is often charged with emotional intimacy and shared histories. This shared bond can amplify the sense of betrayal, making it even more difficult to process the reality of the situation. When someone is emotionally attached to a family member, the lines between respect, affection, and attraction can easily become muddled. In many cases, people don't consciously seek to betray their spouse or partner, but find themselves swept up in emotions that they don't fully understand. Emotional bonds between family members, especially those who have been close for years, can unintentionally create a situation where one feels a level of comfort or intimacy that begins to surpass traditional family roles. This doesn't necessarily mean that the person involved in the infidelity no longer loves their spouse or partner, but rather that the complexities of human emotion and need for connection can override rational thinking in the heat of a vulnerable moment. One of the major emotional challenges in such stories is the internal conflict that both parties, whether the person who has committed infidelity or the one on the receiving end, must face. In families, the lines of emotional support are often blurred. The sense of safety and care that one typically feels in a close-knit family can be deceptive, leading to situations where emotional needs are met inappropriately. When infidelity occurs within this context, the betrayal doesn't just affect the romantic relationship, but extends to the very core of the familial fabric. For instance, the wife may feel an overwhelming sense of guilt, not just for betraying her husband, but for violating the trust of someone who was once like a brother to her. She may feel a sense of responsibility toward the family unit, knowing that her actions could have profound repercussions for everyone involved. The emotional turmoil experienced by both parties after the betrayal is just as significant. In the case of the husband's brother, the emotional aftermath can be even more complex. Often, people who commit infidelity, especially within a family, find themselves experiencing guilt and shame that they cannot easily express. The knowledge that their actions have irrevocably altered the dynamic of the family and potentially harmed someone they care about deeply can lead to an internal struggle. The emotional fallout from such an affair is rarely confined to the couple in question. It often extends to the entire family, fracturing trust and altering relationships in ways that are difficult to repair. Another key aspect of the complicated family dynamics that accompany infidelity is the secrecy that often surrounds these situations. The need to keep such an affair hidden can create additional layers of emotional complexity. In many cases, the person involved in the betrayal will try to avoid confrontation or discussion, knowing that the emotional fallout will be devastating. This leads to feelings of isolation, confusion, and a sense of emotional disconnection from both the spouse and other family members. The secrecy can also exacerbate the feelings of guilt, as the individual involved in the infidelity may feel that they are deceiving everyone around them, which can lead to a deep sense of loneliness and emotional distress. In stories where infidelity occurs within a family unit, there is also the issue of potential repercussions for the larger family structure. Once the betrayal comes to light, the dynamics between other family members, such as between the siblings, parents, and extended family, can change forever. Tensions arise, relationships become strained, and the very foundation of trust within the family is shaken. The ripple effect of infidelity can have far-reaching consequences that go beyond the individuals directly involved, often involving family members who feel either hurt, betrayed, or responsible for the situation. Family bonds are often built on the notion of unconditional love, support, loyalty. When these are broken, the emotional damage can be profound, not only for the people directly involved in the infidelity, but for the entire family system. Rebuilding these relationships requires not only confronting the betrayal, but also addressing the complex emotions that arise from the violation of trust. It is this intricate web of emotions, guilt, shame, anger, confusion, and sorrow that makes infidelity within the family so difficult to navigate and so emotionally charged for everyone involved.